G'day Derbyites, we are here for the Creative Arts Emmy Awards, our live coverage. You can join us all night to find out the winners at the goldderby.com homepage right on this video, and we'll be announcing them as they come, going through each category blow by blow. Chris, what are you most excited for tonight?
I'm excited for the excitement of it. I mean, it's only 11 months since the last one because of the earlier time frame with NBC having it this year, and I'm excited. These four guest acting categories, which are kind of the marquee categories at Creative Arts, I think I've got them right, but I don't feel comfortable about one single one of those. I mean, it could go any particular way on these. There's no locks, I think, tonight on the four guest categories or on even on reality host.
You know, it's interesting that why do you think that they do that? Why do they shunt off these four marquee categories this year that have Oscar, Emmy, Tony winners among the nominees? Why put them in this Creative Arts Awards that's a 4-hour marathon that when it airs it'll be an edited version next weekend on a channel FXM that good luck finding it on your dial? And reality host too. I mean, why aren't those on the primetime telecast, Chris? I mean, you've been following this for years.
I remember when all this was happening, and it's changed a little over the last 25 years. There's several reasons. One, they just can't hardly fit any more categories on the main ceremony, first of all.
No, they could just get rid of a couple of bad production numbers and fit these on.
They want stars at the Creative Arts, and this is a way to do that. They have the four guest categories and reality hosts, so that gets some of them there. The deal they made in the early 90s, remember there was a 1-year period where the acting branch convinced them to let guest stars compete like for drama and supporting, and there was no guest acting. It was just a horrible decision. Nobody liked it. I think Christopher Lloyd won for Heavenly, and it was just, anyway, the deal they made after that was, okay, it'll be at the Creative Arts, but the four winners will be invited to present on the main ceremony. So it was kind of a nice compromise.
And then, just I know reading about last year's the sprint to the stage and all of that. You know, 45 seconds from the time your name's announced. Why have it like that? Why not spread it out even over a longer period of time? Why are they denying these people a chance to give a heartfelt speech from the stage? It's not going to air on television anyway. It just I know they've got 80 awards, but the Grammys has even more than that, and they managed to make it an event that doesn't sort of punish the older folks that win, you know, in the sense of, you know, by the time they get to the stage, maybe they're left with 5 seconds. I mean, why not?
I don't understand that at all. I mean, they're like you say, it's not televised. They're going to edit it down anyway for whatever this channel is it's on next week, FXM, which I don't even have. I've got 1,200 channels, and that's one that I don't have. But anyway, I don't know why they couldn't make it longer unless there's some sort of I mean, there is a party, an event afterwards, so maybe they're trying to, you know, keep the. But you know, even starting at 4 Pacific, so it's not like they're going deep into the evening.
Well, I asked our founder Tom O'Neill about that, because exactly what I said about. He goes, look, it's L.A. and it's, you know, they like to wrap things up early. So sure enough, you know, it'll be over at 7:30 Pacific time. They'll have their party and they'll all be home with their cocoa by 10 o'clock or 10:30. So it's not. You know, the New York crowd would just be getting going, but I guess the LA crowd wants to be tucked up in bed by certainly by the midnight hour. So we've just come up to the 4 o'clock hour, so we should have the first award in the next couple of minutes, I would think.
Yeah, we decided to start a couple of minutes early just because of that, and because there is no host. So I feel like they are time sensitive, so they're probably going to send those first presenters out in a couple of minutes, and the first 3 awards are all casting. And that's the same thing they did last year, casting comedy, and then casting movie mini, and then casting drama. After that, we've got some picture editing. I'm sorry? Oh, okay. 3 picture editings after that, and then our first big category is drama guest actor, is award number 7 tonight. I think this first category is fun. I mean, I think it's going to set the mood for the whole night.
Yeah.
If casting comedy does not go to Orange is the New Black, I think we're in for a lot of surprises. That seems to be an easy call to me.
Yeah, sorry about that. set my alarm for 7 o'clock to remind me that these things were starting. And, so hey, they're on.
Yeah, it's good. We've got so Chris is just saying with casting in a comedy, Orange is the New Black is sort of the firm favorite here. I'll run through the nominees in that category. It's Louis, Modern Family, Nurse Jackie, Orange is the New Black, and Veep. And yeah, since Orange is the New Black has such a big cast, and it's a show in its first season, it I think is pretty set to take this and open the Orange account for the night.
I will add in, though, one of the biggest shockers last year, and Creative Arts, I mean, there's 80 categories. I mean, calling something a shocker, but it kind of was. I mean, it was right at the beginning of the night in 30 Rock, and its final season wins casting. And that, I mean, like you say, normally it's a new show or maybe a second-year show that wins here. And I agree with that sentiment if I was a voter, because I mean, what was actually 30 Rock adding on the last season? I mean, all the regulars were set. Yeah, an occasional guest star, but Tina could call up those guest stars herself and get anybody she wanted. So I don't understand that win last year. But Orange, I mean, even your lead of your show was basically an unknown. So I mean, and then the only person kind of known to the audience was Kate Mulgrew. Everybody else was either unknown or very, very close to unknown. So I think they did an incredible job casting.
No, definitely. Should we talk a bit about the drama casting race, since those awards might come, or the mini casting race, which will be the next one? Chris, do you have the nominees in front of you?
This one's tough. This one is really. I don't think Sherlock can win. I don't think Treme can win. But Normal Heart is just full of lots of well-known people. Fargo. Not only do you have the big stars that were easy, they didn't come in and audition, Billy Bob Thornton or Martin Freeman, but Discovery like Allison Tolman or a lot of these supporting players that were in there. That was very interesting. And American Horror Story Coven. I don't know that I would give it that, since it's basically the same troupe every year. It's just maybe a few additions. And Normal Heart, I mean, Ryan Murphy could call up really anybody he wanted, and they were going to be in that project. I would personally go with Fargo there.
Yeah, what do you think, Paul?
No, I think that it's fascinating, the job, and it just puts me in mind, as I'm more of an Oscar guy than an Emmy guy, but that the casting people at film, they're pushing to get their sort of an award or something. They got they have a branch, but they'd love to be honored in some way at the Oscars. So it's great that they do it at the Emmys, and they split it out among the 3 different sort of genres. But yeah, it does seem like further into the run of a show, it's maybe a little less difficult to do. You've got 90% of it done. I guess when there's a show that changes cast members partway through or something, that's where the good. Like I look in the drama side and The Good Wife, and certainly the people that have come in and out of that over it just finished its 5th season and going into its 6th, and there's certainly they find really interesting people. I wonder if it. With the New York-based shows like The Good Wife, if they find it easier because they can sort of cast a lot of theater people and the like, that they can get sort of interesting people that America may not know, but are well known within the industry. I wonder if that's an easier row to hoe for that. And then, of course, you've got the big international shows like a Game of Thrones or something, where it's they're really spoiled. For choice, when they're casting in England and Ireland and all over Europe. So,
and I didn't realize until we did the chat with them a few weeks ago, but Breaking Bad had never been nominated for casting before. So, even though most of that cast, has been there for years, most of them even from the beginning, it is. I mean, if it does win, it's kind of a way of rewarding them for casting so well even early on.
Yeah, let's run through the drama series nominees for casting, which will be the 3rd award of the night. And we have, obviously, joining Breaking Bad in that lineup. We've got Game of Thrones, The Good Wife, House of Cards, and True Detective. It's going to be, True Detective has some big casting coups with Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson. Just them alone could give them the
Yeah, but you know, I mean, it's within. I mean, it's just this is decided by other casting directors. I mean, they know that projects like that come gift wrapped. I mean, all those big marquee names are already attached to the show by the time I would think a casting director comes on board. I mean, I know casting directors work very closely with directors and producers, but you know, to give them credit for the casting of Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson seems a little. It's not far-fetched, but it's certainly, you know, I don't know if you should get an Emmy because HBO convinced Matthew McConaughey to do a TV series.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And that's why I think it's so difficult for the Film Academy to go that route because I mean, often your biggest cast or your biggest names get the notice, but sometimes they're the easiest ones.
Well, listen, as we've been yapping away here, everyone in the chat room has noticed that our Marcus Dixon, who's backstage, has posted that Orange is the New Black won.
That's well deserved. I'm not a huge fan of the show, but it's certainly well deserving on casting.
So now the next one is the drama or movie mini?
Movie mini.
Yeah, and so we will see if Fargo, if The Normal Heart, or if American Horror Story can open their account for the night. So Orange opens it up with the first win of the night, and they got more nominations than any other comedy series. So they've started off very strong, 1 for 1.
And then, of course, there's that still, you know, the idea that True Detective is even competing over in drama when you've got, you know, American Horror Story, which is an anthology show using the same actors in movie mini. And True Detective is an anthology show that's going to use all different actors in season 2, and it's over in drama. So if they lose, they're in the wrong category. So.
By the way, while we're waiting on the next one to be announced, let me let everybody know that's in the chat room. Several of our posters mentioned in a thread, or Tom actually asked them in a thread a few days ago, you know, who would like to participate in things that we have going on? And about 12 people responded, and I sent out emails a couple of days ago, and 5 of those are going to join us over the course of the next 3 or 4 hours, one at a time, for just a few minutes, and Opera Junkie will be up first here in about 20 minutes or so, and I see where Fargo did win movie mini casting, so that's an excellent choice.
Yes.
Let's give a shout out to Marcus, who's there backstage with Ralph. Marcus corralled so many of the editors and contributors to Gold Derby to do Slugfest, looking at all different kinds of categories. You know, mostly the marquee categories, acting and series and movie mini and the like. Over the last few weeks, I'd encourage everyone to look on the site for those. You can see them over in the right-hand column. Just click on the various categories and watch those. They're a lot of fun, and I know they just did a few more last night with the comedy and drama series.
And we didn't just interview stars over the past few months. We tried to do several behind-the-scenes people, and the casting winner from Orange is the New Black, Jennifer Houston, interviewed with Marcus, and you can watch that on our website.
And that was probably the only casting director from that category we interviewed. Is that correct?
No, we had somebody else. Oh, the Breaking Bad casting director. So if they win also, then we already know this. You come to us to be interviewed, you win an Emmy. So you know that if the Breaking Bad wins, that's even more of a symbol of that.
We will have a flood of requests from casting directors next year to get interviews.
Well, it's so often. I mean, we get sort of starstruck, but these people do such interesting jobs, and it'd be fascinating to know from Jennifer Houston just how far afield did she have to go, and bringing people like Natasha Lyonne, who got nominated for comedy guest actress, back. I mean, was a bright young thing a few years ago and had some personal troubles, and I'll just interrupt you, Paul. We've got an announcement from Marcus that the best drama casting has gone to True Detective. True Detective has kicked off with its win there. So very good job,
And that's a terrible win. I mean, honestly. I mean, once you had McConaughey and Harrelson on board, I mean, how hard was it to cast?
Well, no. Having said that, I mean, if it was Michelle Monaghan was wonderful. I mean, she's somebody who's sort of under the radar a little bit, and I think this was a great opportunity for her. And there's a couple of other people, and also just the atmosphere. Some of those, the people with smaller roles. I mean, that's the ones where you sort of go, ooh, who's that? When I watch a show and I'm looking on IMDb to try and find out who somebody is, I mean, I think that's a well-cast show. I don't recognize the person. I recognize them, but I don't necessarily know their credits.
Well, and it's further proof, like we talked about earlier, generally a new show is going to win. And I do agree that newer shows are more deserving at that stage.
So what's next, guys? What's the next category?
Yeah, next up we've got picture editing categories, and we're going to see the next one is picture editing for reality programming, picture editing for non-fiction programming, and picture editing for short-form segment and variety specials. Chris, do you have any opinions on any of these categories?
The first one, oh, by the way, we have 3 of those, and then we have guest actor in a drama, and then we have 4 more picture editing. So there's 7 overall. Reality, I'll just run through the nominees. Amazing Race, Deadliest Catch, which won last year, Naked and Afraid, Project Runway, Survivor, and The Voice. I would think probably Deadliest Catch kind of jumps out at me, and with it winning last year, that's the one I would probably predict.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
It seems like it would be the most challenging.
Yeah, definitely showy editing. The picture editing for non-fiction programming is American Masters, Anthony Bourdain, Parts Unknown, Cosmos, Space Odyssey, The 60s, The Assassination of President Kennedy, and The Square. So that's that one that's coming up. Any opinions on...
I can tell you already, I would say 99% of the time tonight when you see the word Cosmos in a category, I would just choose that.
Yes.
It's not going to win every time it's up tonight, but it's going to be close.
Yeah, just the number of nominations that shows there's a lot of love for it in the Academy.
And it's really a one-time only to honor it. I mean, some of these others are ongoing projects, so they could potentially win at another time. I think it's going to be kind of the behind the candelabra of this year, which was different categories, but it swept last year, and at the creatives.
Yeah.
And what was our other picture editing short segments? I'll mention those. Since we've got these 3 all in a row. Yeah, AFI Life Achievement Award tribute to Mel Brooks, Billy Crystal 700 Sundays, segment for the Colbert Report, well, 2 different segments for the Colbert Report, and a segment for the Daily Show with Jon Stewart. These are short form segments, not the whole show.
Well, you were right, Chris. Deadliest Catch won. Marcus has just posted that.
That's a safe bet in that kind of a category, I think.
And what's so great is that they do have, recognizing the variety of genres, to have 7 awards, to not sort of feel like you've got to have just 1 or 2. I think they're to be commended for that, the TV Academy.
And yeah, with that
many kinds of TV. I mean, I am happy that they do honor so many segments of the industry.
And with that short form segment, I think last year the Daily Show won that for a segment on guns in Australia.
Yes, no, yeah, that's right, Daily Show, that's right. And the other one, the non-fiction, which I think is next, was that documentary Mia Maxima Culpa.
But they don't have guns in Australia. That must have been a very hard segment to edit, Matt. I mean...
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's on the lack of guns in Australia. Yeah, but John Oliver did that segment, so he'll be competing at the Emmys next year with Last Week Tonight. So, yeah, do we want to talk about, since we might not have heaps of time in between the picture editing and the Guest Actor Award, to start talking about the Guest Actor Award? And we'll announce the editing awards as they come in. The first one has non-fiction picture editing is The Square. So that has upset Cosmos.
Oh, and of course The Square was also an Oscar nominee. That's a Netflix project. That they did a great job there in Netflix, picking it up and getting it into the Emmys as well as the Oscar race.
Yeah, Netflix has already won 2 out of the first 5.
It could be a big Netflix night. Chris, do you want to talk a bit about the Guest Actor in a Drama race, which is the first acting award that's up tonight?
Yeah, it's just a category away. You've got Dylan Baker from The Good Wife. He's been up here before for this role. You've got Beau Bridges, who's won several over his career. He's up for Masters of Sex. For a first nomination, Reg E. Cathy, House of Cards. You've got Joe Morton from Scandal, his first nomination. You've got Paul Giamatti, who's won before for John Adams, is up for Downton Abbey. And I'm going by memory. I don't have my 6th one in front of me.
We also got it's Giamatti, Baker, Cathy, Morse, Bridges, and Morton.
Of course, Robert Morse. He's been up a bunch of times for Mad Men, and really has his best submission ever. If Mad Men was ever going to win an acting award, this might be their. I don't know that they're going to win one next week, so this might be their best shot this year.
Yeah, I ended up predicting Joe Morton for this category because of the nature of his tape, where he gets all the speeches and things. But I'd really look out for Reggie Cathy here. I think it's a very sort of iconic character in House of Cards, Freddy. He's got an episode sort of built around him more than he usually would in the show, or any character usually would in that show. And I can see them voting for him for sure.
Well, I predicted, I changed around a couple of times and was on Robert Morse for a long time, but just that lack of Mad Men attention, I finally jumped off of him. And I remember after last year's ceremony saying, whoever has a lot of speeches, that's who I'm going with next year. And I went with Joe Morton.
Yeah. Picture editing for variety short format goes to The Daily Show with Jon Stewart again.
Okay, not too surprising. We've had some repeats tonight. And drama guest actor is next.
Yes, so exciting times. Will Robert Morse finally break the acting curse for Mad Men? Will Reggie Cathy be wanting to owe the Emmy voters ribs? Will Joe Morton pull off another scandal in this category? It's so exciting. Okay, wait, Paul, do you have a thought on this category?
Well, it's interesting. Somebody named Ash has done just what I did. I just swapped Morse for Morton, Ash says, and I did that too right before I turned off the prediction center. And now I see Robert Pius saying, I want to switch to Cathy now. These last-minute switches usually don't work. So poor Joe Morton might, if he doesn't win, it's my fault for having gone with him in the last seconds. But in this instance, I think it is about the tapes. I think it is about the episodes. He had the very, very strong episode. So.
Yeah, no, that's why we see people like Christian Clemenson beat Michael J. Fox.
Well, there you go. He won.
But Joe Morton wins the Emmy Scandal. Scandal claiming this category 2 years in a row. And Marcus reports in the press room there are screams. Screams.
Yeah, but that might just be his screams. I mean, that could be.
Are these screams of joy, like yeah, or these screams of like oh no? I don't know.
Well,
positive screams or negative screams, Marcus?
I think if you can tear yourself away from our hangout, you can look at and see what the editors and the experts as well as our overall users have all been predicting. And I think that Marcus had Joe Morton, as I recall when I looked. Most of the editors did, and that's why I decided to switch.
Yeah, so Marcus was screaming.
It was and this is really like I remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chris. Yes.
Yeah, I'm laughing at that. Scandal has 2 acting wins, Mad Men 0. Take that, you Scandal haters.
Oh, thanks, Marcus. And look, and if memory serves, when Joe Morton got nominated for the Emmy, he blasted Gold Derby on Twitter for not predicting him, and we had to apologize to him for not predicting him.
No. There was I think he was in 7th place or something.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in the mix. He just wasn't
Yeah,
No,
we ended up predicting him to win it, so we learnt our lesson about underestimating Joe Morton, and we rectify the situation. So you're welcome, Joe.
So all three of us had Morton, right?
Yes, I
Yeah.
believe I was the last one to switch. I think there might only have been one editor who was left with, I think Bo Bridges, who started off strong in this race. I think he was the presumed front runner at the outset. He's an Emmy darling. I mean, what, 17, 18 nominations, Chris, 2 wins. I mean, this is a guy that the TV Academy loves. So
They really do. Now, it's been a long time since he's won, though. I think it's been, I don't remember exactly, but the 90s, I believe.
So we're
So
back
for our interview system, though. Joe Morton did an interview with us a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They know. They know. I mean, and of course, I'm going to give the plug before I sign off. Everyone must watch Chris and Tom's interview with Julia Louis-Dreyfus. That is the interview of the year at Gold Derby. All these other ones were great, but that one took it to a whole new level. So you must please watch that.
We've got 4 more picture editings up next.
Right.
Yes.
Picture editing for a mini series or movie is next, and there's 3 Fargo entries there, and The Normal Heart and Sherlock.
Oh, here we go. And Sherlock won.
I was just about to say, I wonder if the votes will split for Fargo, and I feel like Sherlock could have flashier editing than The Normal Heart.
Absolutely.
But I obviously didn't say that before it was announced.
No, but I was just going to, in this instance, I wonder if it's like some of those Oscar categories where best actually equals most. So in that instance, it was the most editing. I mean, if you watch Sherlock, it can be dizzying at times. So.
And that particular one was very intricate. Yes. It had a lot going on.
I still don't know how he faked his own death. So.
We've got multi-camera editing for a comedy next, and last year that was won by How I Met Your Mother, which is up again. Daily Show, Colbert Report, Big Bang Theory, and Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one to see if it usually goes to sitcoms, I believe. So the Big Bang Theory and How I Met Your Mother probably looking the best, especially How I Met Your Mother, the way that show's edited. Which isn't your traditional sitcom.
But it was such
edited out of sequence and stuff, yeah.
But it was such a controversial finale, you know. Somebody went on YouTube and edited out the last couple of minutes because they didn't like the way that they ended How I Met Your Mother, so they took out the big reveal. Big Bang Theory won.
Big Bang has won. Opens its account.
But isn't that interesting? I think one of the nominees you mentioned, Chris, was the Colbert Report, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Colbert, Daily Show, and Jimmy Kimmel. It's one thing I do not like about the Emmys is how programs are different things for different categories. You know, if you're going to call this a comedy series, then how are 3 out of the 5 variety series?
Yeah, I guess because there aren't that many multi-camera comedies anymore. But it's interesting because I remember Tom having said this. You know, Stephen Colbert plays a character on the Colbert Report. I mean, he really should have submitted himself for comedy actor.
We've got single camera picture editing for drama series next. 3 Breaking Bad nominations for the episode Felina, Granite State, and Toaja Lily or something. I've munted that word. Then House of Cards and True Detective, both nominated. I can see this going any number of ways. It's hard to know whether Breaking Bad will split the vote there and the House of Cards or True Detective will come up on top. Any thoughts, guys?
Breaking won last year. I'm going to go with True Detective. That episode is the one that the director is nominated for, and it's got a lot of stuff going on. Again, more stuff going on. So I think maybe True Detective.
Yes, and the House of Cards episode had a memorable moment involving a train. So I'm not sure if the editing of that scene is flashy enough to get it over the line. And yeah, but like Breaking Bad, it won last year, so it could be back. I'd probably go with True Detective 2 here. This could be a really... Marcus Dixon says, editing for a drama series goes to Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad starting its run at the Emmys for its final season. So, Marcus... Yeah.
Look at Ralph, sorry, I just want everyone to see Ralph saying about somebody that dude took more than his 45 seconds to get to the stage. So we know that an older person won, or somebody that was doing a lot of glad handing on the way up. So
yeah, and maybe Marcus will be able to confirm which episode of Breaking Bad that was that won. But if not, I'm sure we'll find that out in the next couple of hours or day or whatever. So yeah, probably the final would be my guess. But anyway, so
Ryan Cole's told us the Cooper. Oh no, that's the Big Bang Theory episode, the Cooper extraction.
Now I've got single camera, back to comedies, back for a laugh, and we've got single camera picture editing for a comedy series, Modern Family, Orange is the New Black, Orange is the New Black, Orange is the New Black, and Portlandia.
I thought you said this was for a comedy series. I don't laugh at any of those. No, but so Chris, what are our thoughts here?
I'm sorry, I was sending an email.
Oh, that's okay.
Chris is a huge Orange is the New Black fan, so he's torn between which one of those to.
Yeah, Can't Fix Crazy, Tall Man with Feelings, and Tit Punch are the 3 episodes for that. Okay, it's gone to Ralph has sent through. He's in the press room, isn't he? Single camera picture editing comedy series, Orange is the New Black, Tit Punch.
So direction, I believe, isn't it next?
Art direction, yes. So.
And
Orange is the New Black on 2 wins.
Yeah, and art direction.
Four art directions in a row.
Yeah, and art direction goes by the type of show as opposed to whether it's contemporary and fantasy, or if it's a period miniseries or movie, contemporary program, and then a catch-all. Which is interesting. So, I think the Guild does that too. The Art Directors Guild. They kind of split up according to the type.
Did we ever hear which Breaking Bad episode won a moment ago?
I have not caught that in the chat room. So unless it came and got bumped down very quickly, I have not seen that. Single camera picture editing for a contemporary or fantasy series. Good luck figuring out why they put these 2 together. Game of Thrones, House of Cards, Justified, True Blood, and True Detective.
Oh, no, it's got to be Game of Thrones, right? I mean,
you think Game of Thrones, being a fantasy series, a period type fantasy series against these contemporary ones gives Game of Thrones such a huge edge here.
Yeah, and that's such a mistake on the Academy's part. I mean, there's enough wonderful fantasy series, and they're maybe not considered Emmy worthy in a lot of other categories, but certainly the art directions, everything, a lot of programming on Stars, and a lot of programming obviously on Sci-Fi, and I mean that's really cheeky of them to rob those shows of at least the chance to say Emmy nominated.
Yeah. So art direction award 13 is going to be art direction for a period miniseries or movie, which is American Horror Story, Coven, Boardwalk Empire, Downton Abbey, Mad Men, and Masters of Sex. Boy, Boardwalk Empire does quite well at these technical awards. I would not be surprised if we saw that take it out tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. By the way, Tony is joining us. I told you earlier we'll have different forums users along the way, and Tony's been on other chats before, and you know him as Opera Junkie. Welcome aboard.
Hey guys, how you doing? Can you hear me okay?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thanks for joining us, Tony. We've apparently got Game of Thrones one, I think. I think Game of Thrones won the art direction award, and apparently it was Felina was the episode of Breaking Bad that won picture editing. Yeah. So Game of Thrones on the board.
Tony, what rather than other categories so far, what did you think of Joe Morton winning?
I tuned in right around the time that you guys said. I don't know if it was Matt or Paul that said Scandal has 2 acting wins and Mad Men has none, which is you know, his episode was certainly something that, you know, they went for Dan Bucatinsky last year. It doesn't surprise me, doesn't thrill me, but, you know, good for Joe Morton. He's been a good, solid actor for a number of years, so it's nice to see him get rewarded.
Some writers and especially showrunners just write more Emmy kind of friendly stuff. I mean, David E. Kelley, we've got a whole photo gallery devoted to his 38 acting winners. He writes very showy things that actors want to do and say, and Mad Men has always been more, not dramatic, but more quiet. And that doesn't win acting Emmys usually. The more subtle and quiet does not win any kind of awards usually.
And the ironic thing really is that, you know, I think Robert Morse, who I've always thought, you know, was always nominated for nothing every time he's nominated for Mad Men, you know, actually had something to do in this episode. And I thought maybe, ironically, a song and dance fantasy number would be the best shot Mad Men had at an acting Emmy. I'm just not sure they'll ever win one, which is a shame.
And we've got word that art direction for period miniseries, movie series goes to Boardwalk Empire. So Boardwalk Empire has continuing to do very well at these Creative Arts Awards, at least for now.
Yeah. Well, listen, guys, I'm going to bow out because I've got to keep updating this winners list, and I'm not like you young folks. I can't multitask the way you can. So that I will have this on in the background and be listening to your analysis through the evening.
Well, you've got a lot of articles to write and stories to do, too.
I do. Okay. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Paul.
Bye, Paul.
Good night, Paul. We've got outstanding... Oh, sorry. Yes, Chris?
We're going to have Tom later on. We've got Rob LaCuria coming up later. We've got Charlie Bright coming up later, and several more posters in the forum. So we've got a lot of turnover through the next 3 hours.
Yes. We've got outstanding art direction for contemporary program, Half Hour or Less, The Big Bang Theory, House of Lies, Modern Family, Silicon Valley, and Veep. So that's going to be interesting to see who can take that out. I wonder if... and that was an episode Veep went to California to shoot their episode. So that's interesting, using different sets and things like that there. So yeah, that'll be an interesting one to see what takes that out. I don't really know. Chris, who won that last year?
They actually submitted 3 episodes there, and a wide range of episodes. So that seems.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, one where they go to London, one where they go to Detroit, and one where they go to California. So that's.
And I like the Las Vegas episode of Modern Family, but it was the one episode. Oh wow, a big shocker here.
Silicon Valley.
Who won it, Chris?
House of Lies.
Whoa.
House of Lies.
Yeah, House of Lies.
House of Lies is on the board. Veep, Modern Family, still looking for wins.
Well, Modern Family rarely wins at the Creatives.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Has House of Lies ever won anything before?
I don't know.
Somebody's saying first Emmy in the chat room, but I don't recall it winning another one.
No. Art direction for a variety, non-fiction, reality, or reality competition program: Cosmos, the Oscars, Portlandia, Saturday Night Live, Sochi 2014 Olympic Winter Games opening ceremony, and The Voice.
And last year, the Summer Olympics won, and it was a tie. Saturday Night Live won its first ever in 38 years art direction award last year.
Yeah. So
I never bet against Olympics and these kinds of things. Yeah. So I would say my guess would be the Winter Olympics, but this is it's not a juried award, but it's one of the group of categories where they can have multiple wins automatically. So it might be the Olympics and something else.
Yeah, like again, Cosmos could.
Yeah, I can see a Cosmos and Olympics both winning. Let's say.
Yeah, so that will be interesting to see. After that, we've got I think a pretty big category, animated program. First time Simpsons hasn't been in this race for 20 years, since when they didn't submit themselves for comedy series, for animated series.
Time.
Yeah, So and they don't win it every year. They don't have the category on lockdown. But and the art direction for Variety has gone to the Oscars. The Oscars. Not a huge surprise there, really.
Not really, but I would have expected 2 or 3 maybe to win there.
Yeah.
And never bet against the Olympics. Never bet against the Olympics.
A lot of our viewers. Do you have the list in front of you? I'm working my way toward that page.
Of animated programs.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, we've got Archer, Bob's Burgers, Futurama, South Park, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Manhattan Project. South Park and Futurama have won this before. It's Futurama's last season. South Park have submitted well as well. It's probably they're the 2 front runners. It's the first time Archer has made it into this race. That's a show that a lot of people love. And I don't know, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles could pull off a Penguins of Madagascar in this category and take it out. What do you think, Tony?
If I had to root for one, Archer is. I think Charlie Bright and I share a similar love for that show. It's it's the most laugh out loud funny show, and if that wins, I'll probably put my earphones down and do a cartwheel. But
whoa,
let's not put that on camera, shall we? No, but Futurama wouldn't surprise me either, because I know Maurice LaMarche has won didn't he win the voice acting category last year?
I put that down because that category is coming up later. He won in 11 and 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
South Park's usually the safe bet, and it was the winner last year.
Yeah, so probably South Park. But Futurama can pull out a win here when they submit really well. And Futurama's got a real ability to have some nice emotional moments in their show, a bit surprising, and when they submit those ones, they do really well. So it's on a knife edge. After that, we've got short format animated program, which I'll try to get up the nominees for that.
That'd be like probably Robot Chicken, something like that.
Yeah, probably. Animated. Short format.
Waiting on that. Tony, is there any guest star that you're really rooting for in the other 3 categories later?
What's the first one to come? Well, obviously
We're about 7 or 8 categories away from drama guest actress.
Yeah, and I think that one's originally I would have thought Allison Janney had that one locked up, and I still have her winning that. But if voters go for something like Joe Morton, maybe they'll go for something. Kate Burton had a really over the top episode to submit, and as much as I'd like to see Allison Janney win, maybe they're going to vote. Maybe she'll win supporting actress, but yeah, I think Allison Janney will probably win that one, but Kate Burton wouldn't surprise me.
That's exactly what I would say. I'm rooting for Allison Janney, but when I went back and watched everything, I said earlier, quiet and subtle doesn't often win, and she's powerful in that episode, but it's so closed-in acting, quiet acting, and Kate Burton opens up with a 10-minute. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it's just overacting beyond, and like you say, if they like that from Dan last year, then I moved over to Kate Burton myself.
So you actually moved over to that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We got Marcus Dixon calling an upset in the animated race, and Ralph pitching in with a Bob's Burgers win for animated series. We weren't talking about. We took our eyes off the burgers, and Bob's Burgers has won. Big night for that show.
That's really interesting. Not And what's interesting is, I'm a high school teacher, and so I hear this show come up from several of my students. Like, have you seen Bob's Burgers? I was like, no, and so maybe I should give it a look-see now.
Yeah, we've got Yeah, Chris.
The short form animated is next. I don't know if you had a pick there, but then there's some juried awards after that in the individual achievement in animation. So what we'll do in that, after we get the next winner, we'll say goodbye to Tony, and I'll send a message to David Buchanan.
In short format, we've got Adventure Time, we've got Disney Mickey Mouse, we've got Disney Phineas and Ferb, we've got Regular Show, and we've got Robot Chicken.
And they just said that the Mickey Mouse won. It won last year as well.
Yeah, so Mickey Mouse struck out at the Oscars this year, but has brung home the Emmy.
Well, Tony, any last words? We were just welcoming several of you in for short periods of time.
Oh, yeah.
We'll do something longer later on.
I'm interested to see where this goes. I think that the creative arts ones, particularly the guest acting races, they always throw a few curveballs in there, and maybe it means there'll be some curveballs on Emmy night. One can only hope. As much as I'd like to be right in my predictions, I love being surprised.
The thing we all love about the Emmys more than any other is you do have a peer group, small peer group, but 50 to 75 people voting from your group, and they do watch your episode. So that's why you can have surprises where maybe you don't at other award shows very often, and you know that it's coming from your own peers who know what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good, like at the Oscars, the most Oscars a film has ever won has been 11, and about 3 films have done that: Lord of the Rings, Titanic. But at the Emmys, the most a regular series has won has been 9 for The West Wing, even though there's so many more categories at the Emmys. And that's partially because you don't have the same people ticking every single category. So you're not having someone just go down the line ticking Breaking Bad, Breaking Bad, Breaking Bad, Breaking Bad, Breaking Bad. You've got different panels voting on each category. So you need a lot of stars to align to be able to pick up, 5 Emmys or 6 Emmys or 7 Emmys. Like, that's actually quite a feat, even though we see films win that many Oscars all the time with only 20 categories.
And you never know. I always think one of the factors is you never know, especially now that they have these larger voting pools in each category. You never know what that group is looking for. If they're voting on comedy series, they might be looking for range and impact and sympathy. And in other categories, a different group might just be looking for what's the funniest submission. So it's always a crapshoot, and it's fun to watch.
Mm.
Well, Tony, we appreciate it. I've got David coming in a second. If you'll click that red X at the red receiver at the top, and not the stop broadcast button, and we'll see you another time.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Tony.
They're doing juried individual achievement in animation. These are behind-the-scenes people in animation, and they always pick a few of those, and those were previously announced. And then we jump into, let's see, 3 costume categories, 3 hairstyling categories, and then we've got drama guest actress.
Mm.
So
yes.
we're on we're not on a break, obviously, but we've got 3 or 4 minutes at least before maybe a costume category comes up. And so why don't we roll through some of those while we wait on David to join us. The first costume category will be movie miniseries, which was won in a sweep, part of a sweep last year. Behind the Candelabra won last year. And I don't think anybody, I would dare say nobody thought something other than Behind the Candelabra was winning costumes. Based on the sheer quantity of costumes last year. But you've got American Horror Story Coven, House of Versace, about a fashion designer, so keep an eye on that one. The Normal Heart, Sherlock, and The White Queen. There are really some strong entries here. I could see a case, at the Oscars when you see a costume category and one of them is British, like especially like Britain from the 1500s, 1600s, 1700s. I always go with that, and it's usually right. So the White Queen could win here. Coven was just filled with lots of good costumes. And then House of Versace, obviously about a fashion designer, and you've got fashion designers and costumers voting in the category.
Yeah, I think the Normal Heart and Sherlock are going to struggle to take this one out, and it could go any of the other three ways. And yeah, I think this could be the White Queen. That's just where my gut's telling me this category is going to go. But
I agree with you.
Yeah.
With the reminder that there's going to be one or two just major shockers of the night. Not shockers in terms of how did they do it, but just like, I can't believe House of Versace won an Emmy. And I could see that here.
Yeah. No, definitely. Do we have, let's see. What's the next costume category, Chris?
After that is costumes for a series. The Borgias won last year. Again, the same thing we're talking about with the White Queen.
Yeah.
But this year, obviously, it's not eligible. So you've got Boardwalk, Downton Abbey, Game of Thrones, Mad Men, and Once Upon a Time. That's a great group. When you think of all five of those shows, you think of costumes.
Yeah. I wouldn't sleep on Once Upon a Time. That would probably... I think probably Once Upon a Time or Boardwalk will win this, would be my prediction. Oh, then again, you got Game of Thrones. Like, it's a tough race.
Well,
and Game of Thrones won this 2 years ago.
Mad Men, because they're moving through the decade, has to totally change costumes every year. Downton Abbey, there's that past in the Britain world, so that's a possibility. We've got.
And they won costume. They won costumes in the mini-series race, Downton Abbey, when they were in that lineup.
Right. And Boardwalk always wins Creative Arts Emmys, and they've already won one tonight.
Yeah, they do very well. Boardwalk did very well in its first and third season at the Creative Arts. They did all right in the second season too. Maybe Boardwalk does better in odd seasons.
We got Dave. Is it Dave or David?
Either one. David's good.
Okay, Dave Buchanan with us. He spoke up in the forums that he wanted to join us today, and we'll not only feature him today, but maybe on some other things down the road. What have been your thoughts as you've been watching the winners so far tonight?
So far, so good. Not too many surprises in categories that I really follow very well. Excited that we've got guest actress and drama coming up because anxiously waiting to see where they fall between Janny and Kate Burton.
Would anybody else to either one of you, if it's not Janny or Burton, would one of the other four be a surprise?
I was kind of surprised looking over my predictions earlier that I had Margot Martindale in 6. That was kind of surprising that I maybe totally underestimated her coming back and being really strong. But no, I think I had Jane Fonda in 3rd. So she wouldn't be too surprising of an upset, but I think the 1 and 2 are really strong.
I think of all 24 guest stars this year, the single one most hurt by the new rule that the entire episode is submitted and not just the scenes of the guest star, the one hurt most by that this year was Jane Fonda. Because she might have had the single most impactful scene out of the 24, but she wasn't even in 1 second of that episode until the last 5 minutes.
Right, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Especially when you're
Horror Story.
Robert Morse as well, because he only had a couple of nice moments along the way, and then he had the big scene at the end.
For costumes in a mini-series, American Horror Story Coven has won that.
Okay.
Yeah. So
we said all of those were very deserving there, so I don't think that's a big surprise.
Yeah. No. I would think that was in our sort of top 3 when we were talking about it. Yeah. So yeah, Ryan Cole says in the chat room, the only one that would be a total surprising guest actress is Diana Rigg. I love Diana Rigg in Game of Thrones. She's so good, but I would agree because just the amount of time she has in her episodes is so small. Does deserving nomination. I'm glad she's in the race, but yeah, she was at the very bottom of my list.
And costumes for a series, did we all land on something for that? Because that's next. I'm going to just go out on a limb because they do so well at Creative Arts and say Boardwalk.
Well, Ralph has announced it, Chris, and costumes for a series have gone to Game of Thrones, which is probably not what I would have predicted, to be fair. So Game of Thrones on 2, and yeah, look, they got 19 nominations this year, so that's great. And you know, let's see how many they probably won't win drama series next week. Not many people predicting them to win that, but it's interesting to see how many they will win if they can get a really impressive total.
And the next one is costumes in a variety program. Oh, it's juried. That's why it's already been announced. I was trying to find it on my list, and I don't remember who won. Because it was announced earlier, or maybe a week or two ago.
Yeah. No.
I do wonder why some categories are juried and some are not.
Yeah.
Because really, when you've only got 50, 60, 70 voters, isn't everything really juried, in a way?
Yeah, they're all juried. There's like, what is it, a dozen people deciding the juried awards. Right.
So it's still a small group. They just happen to be announced ahead of time.
Yeah, and is it is the juried awards? And I could be way off base on this. If someone in the Academy's in the chat room, they can correct me. But are the juried awards, they meet together and talk about it rather than just sit at home with DVDs?
I think it's a yes or no vote. I think it's not like a ranking. I think it's you have to get. And it's kind of like something in like a political atmosphere. It's not just like straight up 51%. It's like. Don't quote me on this, but it's either like 2/3 or 3/4. You have to get a lot of yeses.
Yeah.
But you could have multiple winners too. I mean, you could have 3 things they're considering all get that number of votes.
Yes. Do you have the nominees for costumes in a variety series, Chris?
That's what we were just saying. It's.
Oh yeah, sorry.
It was juried, so it was already pre-announced.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right. Hairstyling, we've got 3 of those next, and let me mention the first one, which is miniseries or movie, and those are American Horror Story, Bonnie and Clyde, Mob City, The Normal Heart, and The White Queen. Behind the Candelabra won that last year. The ones that, I mean, when I first said American Horror Story, I thought, yeah, I could really see that. But I could also see something like The White Queen.
Yeah.
Yeah, these technical categories would seem to me to be where we might see not so much the bigger names, like an American Horror Story coming through, so I wouldn't be surprised either to see White Queen come and take it.
Yeah.
And a Bonnie and Clyde, you know, that anytime you're talking about a period piece, and you're talking about a costumes or a hairstyling or makeup, those can really, you know, garner attention.
Yeah.
And if we were on makeup, I'm not even sure Bonnie and Clyde is in there, but certainly, you know, it would qualify well for that. I'm looking over to see all of a sudden. It's hard to keep up with what else nominated when you're talking live like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got my other tab on the chat here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see anything come through on that one yet.
While we're waiting on that one, because they'll come once. The way they do Creative Arts is you'll have one set of presenters come out and do, you know, all in that category, so or all in that genre. So they'll come fast and furious. Let's go ahead and mention hairstyling on a multi-camera series is Dancing with the Stars, Key and Peele, The Originals, The Oscars, SNL hosted by Anna Kendrick, and The Voice, and SNL was your winner last year.
So I'd go with them again, just if for no other reason than that, but also, you know, they're doing a sketch show where you're coming in, you've got different hairstyles for each sketch and stuff. It's quite impressive, and especially, you know, when you're watching SNL that they're doing that live, that, you know,
yeah, they're doing it on the fly.
Yeah, they're having like to do that hairstyle in like the 2-minute commercial break or whatever.
Yeah, that is really impressive.
An American Horror Story did win. We talked about that maybe being one of the front runners. And on the single camera, just to finish off those nominees for hairstyling, that'll be 2 categories from now, but it's Boardwalk, it's Downton Abbey, Game of Thrones, and Mad Men.
Yeah. I remember someone in the chat room said that they remember when I was confused that Boardwalk won hairstyling a couple of years ago. Because I think I remember my argument. They wear a lot of hats in the show. You don't see a lot of the hair. It's a hat-heavy show.
But it did win last year, according to my notes.
Yeah, who won last year? Sorry.
Boardwalk.
Boardwalk. That's maybe the year I was surprised. So look, I guess go with Boardwalk again. Although the Game of Thrones episodes that won costumes is nominated here. And that is a wedding episode, so there's all lovely wedding hairdos for that one. And this Mad Men used to have this category on lockdown. Mad Men used to win this every year. It was the bellwether for drama series. If Mad Men won hairstyling, you knew it was going to win drama.
Well, we've got there's it is SNL.
Yeah.
So that makes total sense. Well, while we're waiting on the next hairstyling, we're going to do one more category, and then we're going to take just a 3 or 4 minute break while we switch over to a new video, and we'll let you know when to refresh your screens, and we'll also add in Tom O'Neill. But we're going to do drama guest actress before we take that break, and let's walk through the nominees there. Do you have them in front of you, Matt?
I do. Guest actress in a drama, is it?
That's right.
You've got I'll get it up in a few seconds. What next? I've got it. The Margot Martindale from The Americans, Diana Rigg from Game of Thrones, Kate Mara from House of Cards, Allison Janney from Masters of Sex, Jane Fonda from The Newsroom, and Kate Burton from Acting Emmy Darling Scandal.
And I had no idea until I was doing her profile a few weeks ago, or it could have been a few months ago now, but Richard Burton's daughter.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Did not know that. In all the years, I've seen her in so many projects over the years, and it just never, I guess Burton's a fairly, not common name, but common enough, and I just never had thought about, that she might be the daughter of Richard Burton.
Oh, that's funny.
Who famously never won an Oscar despite a ton of tries.
So who does everybody have in their first place predictions for guest actress? Did you guys stick with Janney?
I moved over to Kate Burton.
Oh, okay, me too. I've got her in first.
I just started thinking, how you tell yourself after something like, okay, next year, remember, speeches and over the top wins. Quiet and subtle does not win, and I switched over from Allison Janney because of that to Kate Burton.
Yep, me too, for the same exact reason. So. And
it's not like Kate's stuff is way over in the episode. It's the first 10 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, I stuck with Janney, but I'm really regretting it now. I feel like this could be a Kate Burton win. I'm just hoping we've got different people on this panel that we had on the Joe Morton panel. Because
you know how much I love Allison Janney. It will not bother me at all to lose that one. I would be truly stunned if it's not Allison Janney or Kate Burton.
I was surprised that HBO didn't submit Janney for Veep last year for her really great episode. That was kind of surprising. But we'll see if she makes up for it this time around.
And we've got what about Jane Fonda though? And every now and then we get a panel that doesn't really care much about the tapes. Jane Fonda has such a legacy to her name. Is there a chance they just tick off Jane Fonda?
I thought about her, but I think she's got the best single scene of anybody in this category. And I thought about her, and another thing about her, right in the middle of, right around the time of voting, she was getting the American Film Institute Life Achievement Award this summer. So reminding everybody in the industry of her great career. And sometimes you get a panel that just, that just goes the way they want to go.
Yeah. I think we've had some categories announced. Hairstyling for a single camera series went to, they've won it before in a different category, Downton Abbey.
I don't think that's a big surprise.
No. There really wouldn't have been a huge shock in that category. Did we get the multi-camera one? Oh, yeah, we did. Great. So
yeah, we're done with everything except in terms of this segment for us, everything but drama guest actress. And then we'll take a break, and Tom O'Neill will be joining us, and we'll keep right on going. But we're just going to take a 3 or 4 minute break and reset the system so we don't have 1 3-hour video at the end of all of this.
Yeah. Go to the bathroom, do our wardrobe changes, all of that.
That's right.
Yeah.
I've got the SNL hairstyling folks coming in to help me.
Oh, great. Oh, good.
Alice and Janney. Okay.
That was a Janney's one. I didn't change that prediction. I'm so excited.
Oh, well, Chris, we took a chance and it didn't pay off, but...
Well, it's one of those where I'm thrilled because I like her so much. And Joe Morton and Alice and Janney joined us for chats along with several other winners tonight. So keep that in mind next year, all of you potential nominees.
Did Kate Burstyn do a chat with us?
She did not, but I bet she will next summer.
Yeah, that's where she's dropped the ball. I think Scandal can only win so many acting awards, as they say.
Yeah, I felt really funny having them both winning both categories, and I even said that a few hours ago in the forums, but she just felt too much of a threat to not take a chance. But great for Jenny, good for her.
We're going to take a quick break. The next categories up are all in sound editing. Give us 3 or 4 minutes here, and then we'll tell you when to refresh your screens. There'll be a new video popping up on the homepage. And Dave, we appreciate your time.
Great. Thank you so much for having me, guys. Hope to talk to you soon.
Thanks a lot.
Have a good night.
No worries, Dave.